Hi guys, I'm filming inside today, which is nice because it means I don't look like a weird creeper out in the dark, but it also means that there are four baby kittens that might come find me while I'm filming, so if they show up, we'll just say hi and keep on moving. So for the last couple of videos, I talked about curriculum choices and what's out there for curriculum, and also what a typical, I don't know, typical doesn't really cover it, but what a day in a homeschooling life might look like, and some things that you might want to be thinking as you're planning your days. So today I want to talk more about what to do if your kids won't listen, and this is a really, really big topic. There are books written about this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some quick things that you can kind of plug in and implement right away and try. But if I have time, I'll make some more videos on this because there's a whole lot that you can do. And a lot of it is really dependent on the kid and the situation. So this is just going to be a quick overview and some of the things that work for me, and hopefully maybe a different time I can get into some more nitty-gritty stuff. Um, so in this video, I want to talk specifically about what to do if your kids if the day is just not working. I want to talk a little later on about what to do if this is an ongoing problem, like your kid is everyday resistant. But this is just about, you get up, you get ready to do school, you tell all your kids to come to the table, and they're just not functioning. Either they're just all in crazy mode, or grumpy, or fussing at each other, whatever it is. Or you sit down at the table and you're trying to get ready to get started, and nobody will listen to you. So here are some ideas of what to do. The very first thing that I would look at is, do we actually have to do school? Is what they're doing now actually better than what I have planned? There have been so many times when I have come to the day with this beautiful plan, and my kids have blown me out of the water with some idea that they had that they want to do with each other. Um, this doesn't happen, this isn't every day. But if they're doing something cooperative together where they're already learning, I would let them do it. Whatever it is that, board games, or if they're doing a cooking project, maybe don't interrupt it. Maybe let that play out. And then, so each day when I come with a plan for school, I usually have in the back of my head, or sometimes actually like starred in my notebook, this is what absolutely must get done today. So if I am coming to the day and my kids have this great idea that they want to do, and I know that one of my kids didn't do math the other day, then that's great because, again, we're homeschoolers and we have time. So we go ahead and do whatever it is the kids want to do. And then later I can pull that particular kid aside and say, hey, listen, buddy, we didn't do math yesterday, so I really want to make sure we hit it today, so let's sit down and do some math. You have that option. So that's the very first thing. I would look at, is this really something that I want to interrupt? If your kids are getting along with each other, maybe just go with it. Maybe don't interrupt it. But that doesn't happen all the time. That's awesome when it does, when that magic hits. But that's not normally the situation. Normally, it's that the kids don't want to listen. The kids are bickering with each other, not that they are getting along. And so at that point, what do you do? So if you don't have everybody gathered up, or sometimes even when you do, one of my very, very favorite things to do is to put on music really, really loud. And I personally sometimes choose really old music that they don't know, or I'll play songs that they love. I have no problem. We can turn it into a dance party. Um, but if you don't like your kids' music, play something you love. Don't stress yourself out here. The point is to be loud and to catch attention. So you have everybody gathered, and honestly, if I have it in me that day, I play it up. Some days I don't, but if I have the energy and the ability, I'll grab a spatula and sing along and serenade the kids, or try to dance with them, and then they run away. Um, when my kids were really little, I used to pick them up and use them as air guitars. I can't do that anymore. But if you want to really get into it, the idea is not to calm everybody down and like get into immediate school mode. The idea is to bring the idea first is to cut through whatever's going on. So if they're bickering with each other and you turn the music way up, they can't even hear each other to bicker. If everybody's just scattered through the house and you've been calling people and they're just not coming, the idea is to, one, catch attention, but then two, to kind of focus that attention on you and what you're doing, as a group, everybody kind of in the same spot, and then bring it back down to where you need it to be. So maybe gradually pick some music that kind of like, not like lullabies, but you can start way up here. Where's my hand? Way up here, and then kind of bring things to here, and then kind of be like, okay, guys, listen, it really is time for school, though. A quick note on that: if you are a Christian or religious, I would not choose hymns or like worship music for this. I would choose something like old school DC Talk, something that's going to have their kids rolling their eyes and be like, what? Sorry, I have a kitten friend here. What am I even listening to? Because your goal, again, is not. I understand that it feels like a time that would be nice to like get really centered, but that's not really the goal of this particular trick. It's more to catch attention, to either be really embarrassing so your kids notice and are all kind of on the same page with mom is so weird, and kind of get them in the same mindset. Not necessarily to settle everything down. You're kind of going for big with this one. Um, Other things you can do, I mean, a really quick note, a lot of these have to do with shifting the mood, and catching your kids kind of where they are. And with discipline stuff, it gets really tricky because there are definitely times when you just have to be like, look, I have told you to do this. You are not listening. You need to come to the table. That's definitely, there's a time and place for that. But a lot of times, especially if you're homeschooling right now, everything is crazy. And so your kids are going to have big feelings. Your kids are going to be maybe sick of being in the same room with each other over and over and over. So the first starting place isn't necessarily to force a confrontation if you don't have to. If you can play really loud music and get everybody in a good mood and have them all be like, Mom is so weird, and then do school, that's what you want. If you have to have that confrontation, then you do, and that happens, and that's probably I'll touch on that in the next video, but that's not the goal. So if you don't have to go there, don't go there. Instead make a funny memory, instead of having that fight. But again, there's a time and place where you do have to kind of go to the mat on something. Okay, so you played your crazy music, you have your kids at the table, or they came to the table, but they came to the table bickering, arguing, nobody wants to listen to you. So the first thing I'm going to look at there is what is going on. Okay, are the kids in crazy mode? Are they just all trying to kind of like up the ante and out silly each other? Are a group of kids bickering with each other? Do we need to stop and deal with a relationship issue? He stole my whatever. Okay, let's deal with that before we're trying to do school together. Again, if kids have an ongoing relationship issue, then that's for the next video. This is just, little stuff. So one of the things that I'll actually do is I'm not sure if I can do it on a video. So if my kids are getting really loud and just talking over me and being silly or being bickery, you can kind of pitch your voice to about here. And you're not whispering because you still want to be heard, but it's kind of this pitch that just cuts under what everybody else is saying. And it's not about being angry or, it's not like a scary, it's just a pitch that has the effect of kind of cutting, instead of yelling over them and making the noise go up, 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 it kind of cuts under it, and they, ideally, will start to kind of bring it down and match that pitch that you have going on, if you just talk like this calmly for a little bit. Now, sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. It's a good technique when it works, but it is not always going to do the trick, especially if everybody's really wound up or kids are really angry at each other. But it's something you can try. Okay, I have my notes here because I actually made this video last night and then realized I'd missed all these things I wanted to say, so I'm going to check my notes real quick. Oh, right. Okay. When you are thinking about ways to catch attention or shift the mood of what's going on, so my family loves music. So gathering kids to the table, I'm looking at, loud music. I personally love loud music, so that works great for me. At the table, another thing I would do, if the kids are not listening, I'll start singing show tunes. If kids are bickering, let it go, and then you sing it dramatically, and then they're like, Mom, and you have their attention again, and they're like, Mom is stupid, and then they can all agree that Mom is stupid, and we can move on with our day. But I love music, so that works really well for me. That might not be the best option for you. So you can think about what your family culture is. That's the best thing about homeschooling. You don't have to do things the way that I do, but you can use the same idea. So if your family loves sports, okay, maybe you don't crank music up really loud. Maybe you, I don't know, ask your kid to teach you how to do something with a soccer ball. And then suddenly everybody's looking at you and you can't do this, whatever they're doing. I really should know the names of these. We're a soccer family. I can't think of anything. Then you have all the kids in one place again. If your kids are gamers, challenge them to Fortnite and say, listen, I bet you didn't know that when you sleep at night, I've been practicing, and you haven't been practicing because nobody has time for that, unless you're a secret Fortnite gamer, in which case, even better, because this is going to be awesome. So, talk big, talk it up, get all your kids hyped up about it. Sit down, lose a match real fast. Everybody is now in the same place at the same time. Continue with the kind of jokey for a little bit, and then you kind of bring the mood down and like, okay, guys, I'll play you again later. Right now it's time for school. Whatever it is that your family loves. If your family loves, potty humor, I don't know, make fart jokes. Whatever it is that your family really likes. And honestly, right now, if your family is used to, maybe the only thing that your family has in common is that you don't have anything in common. Maybe none of you enjoy the same things. Um, and play that up, honestly. Make jokes about it. Hey, you can do your schoolwork, or if you don't want to do that, you can crochet with mom or watch my soap operas or whatever it is, that you like that the rest of the family doesn't do. And acknowledge it. Here we all are at the table together. Like, what even is that? What is this piece of furniture? And kind of acknowledge that it's weird and different, because it might be weird and different, and calling that out, whether through joking or through sitting down and saying, hey guys, I know this is odd. That's still something you can use. That's where your family's at. Awesome. Use it. Um, okay, so another thing that I would personally consider doing, if everybody is just not feeling it, it's just not the right thing. We have done a redo where I've literally sent kids back to bed. I've been like, no, this is not how we behave. This is not how we do school. You all know what needs to be happening here. And I literally send them back to bed and say, okay, I'm going to call you when it's time to get up, and give them, like, not too long, because it's not about punishment again. But it is a very it doesn't work if you do it all the time, because then instead of being silly and like kind of jolting them out of all of these need to be done, and kind of rotated through, because if you do the same thing every single time, then it kind of loses its oomph. But I have more than once sent my kids back to bed and said, we're gonna try that again. Like, and I go back to bed too. We're all going back to bed, and then in about 5 minutes get kids up and say, okay, we're gonna try again. Another thing you can do is change things up. If when you're calling kids to school, you can tell that this is just not, they are not coming together, they are not listening, they're not going to work. Do school outside. Take your books and go outside if it's a nice day. Do school, in front of the fireplace if you have a fireplace. You don't have to always do the same thing at the same time, and sometimes just that change of scene is enough to kind of shift focus back to what you need to be doing. Sometimes that's going to make them crazier. So it just kind of depends on the day and the situation. Again, I'm just trying to throw some tools out here and take what works for you. If kids are bickering, I absolutely will, if it gets too bad. First of all, I'll do the old school trick where you just move seats is my first choice. If one particular kid is being disruptive, I will call on them to read. If I'm reading Story of the World and one of my kids is just can't handle it, I make them read out loud. It's kind of a non non calling them out, but kind of calling them out, and like, this is what we're doing, you're not doing it, so now you get to do it. If a child is just really not going to function that day, really can't let go whatever they're angry at, I will remove them from school. But if I move you from school, you are going to your room with no electronics. You're not going to hang out and do video games while everybody else does school. So for however long it takes to get through a school day, and again, we don't school for hours and hours. This is not going to be a horrible punishment, but you will let the other kids do their work, and you're not going to have fun doing it. So if it really comes down to it, if the entire group or one specific individual is just flat out like, I am not doing this math, or some of my kids like to get things wrong repeatedly on purpose. So like, I don't know how to do this. I just yeah, no, you do know how to do that. I'm happy to help you if you need help, but that's not what is going on. So in that case, again, as homeschoolers, we have this huge advantage, which is time. So my kids don't have to rush to the next class. My kids don't have to catch a bus. My kids don't have to, get to lunch when it's time for lunch. So as a group or as an individual, okay, you're really not going to do your work. I hear you. I understand that you feel that way. That's fine. You're also not going to do anything else until you have done your work. So a couple of things on that. The first thing is, if this is happening often, if this is more than like a day or two of a kid just will not and cannot function, or a group, I'm going to be looking at something else. And that, in the next video, I'm going to talk about ongoing issues. So at that point, I'm looking at curriculum, or is there something going on with this kid? If every single day is that kind of a fight, then I'm going to go to different kinds of brainstorming. But there are legitimately times when kids just kind of want to see what happens if they maybe don't do school. I mean, and that's fair. So the answer is, nothing much happens. You just don't do anything else until you do school. So, real quick note, for parents though, this is not meant to be a punishment for you. So, for example, when my kids were little, and still sometimes we have quiet time in the day, if you are not doing anything else because you are not doing your schoolwork, you will still do quiet time, because I am not going to punish myself. So then you'll do quiet time, and after quiet time, you'll come back to your table where your math is. So this isn't meant to be a horrible punishment, but it's also definitely not meant to be a punishment for me as the mom. So I'm still going to make sure that what I need to have happens for my mental health happens. But if you have soccer practice, sorry, you didn't do your math. If you have, video games that you want to be on, if you have a Zoom call scheduled with a friend, and you can kind of pick and choose. If there are things that you feel are important enough, I mean, there have been times when I have made an exception because of whatever reason. But the general idea, and the thing is, when you make that exception, you know what, the next day, if you made the exception and they still didn't do their math and whatever, that's fine. They're going to do their math. It's still there. It's okay. Um, and again, obviously, let them go to the bathroom, let them eat food. This is not about torturing them into doing their schoolwork, but it is about just kind of making it clear that this doesn't need to be a huge fight, but you are going to do this. This is required. You do have to do school. You do have to do what I tell you to do. If we need to talk about this being too hard or whatever, we can do that at an appropriate time. But it's not going to happen because you're just refusing to do something. So, again, if that's happening often, though, I would be looking at other things. I'd be brainstorming why this is happening. Um, okay, I feel like this video is getting really long. I have more stuff I want to say, but I'm going to throw that into the next video, which is going to be about if every day is hard, if this is just a constant struggle, what to do then. So, I'll talk to you guys later.